The following episode may contain sensitive content. Listener discretion is advised.
Good morning, y'all.
Well, hello.
Hello.
It's Sunday for us today, right?
Today is Sunday. I'm still in bed under a blankie.
Ooh,
Yeah.
it's God's day. Show some respect.
I am.
God.
I'm wearing my pajamas.
I've just brushed my teeth.
Seriously, that's as much effort as I put in.
Yeah, this is as much effort as we're going to put into this podcast, y'all, just so you know. Okay? This is all
Just
you
the bare
get.
minimum. You should just like that.
Mariah
bare
Carey.
Hey,
Right.
we have a name.
Yes, give us nothing.
I know. We have a name. Who wants to?
We have a name. This is no longer the podcast that has no name, y'all. So this is
Took us a
our
while.
name. It took us a while. Thank you for your patience. It took 4 episodes.
Well, I'm guessing like once we upload all of them, we will just have them already with the name. But just
Right.
know it took us almost 4
It
episodes.
took us until this episode to come up with a name.
get
So
it
you are
together.
You really
witnessing
had to
history right
ruminate.
now. So, Nikki, why don't you tell us what our name is?
Oh,
You get the honors.
You want to
one
have
with
the honors?
accent.
Yeah.
Okay, so the name of the show, it is The Show Must Go On.
Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Yay.
Love that journey for us. And it's
Yes.
something that in theater, acting, and in the arts, we say a lot when things actually go wrong. You just say the show must go on because it really needs to go on.
It does. So if you have a podcast with that name, beat it because we took it.
Literally.
Yo, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Oh, just beat it.
Get out
Just
of the
beat it.
way.
Get out of the way. I'm
Get
gay.
out of the way.
Move. I'm
So
gay.
how's everyone doing? We're all good?
Oh man.
I love it. So that's
How
it.
are we doing? I'm doing all right. My mom is visiting for the weekend, so you know how that
Oh,
goes.
nice.
Yeah.
Janet.
We love
moms.
Janet.
How about you? How are you guys doing?
I'm
Oh,
good.
dead silence.
let's see.
That's all we need to know.
well. Things are not
things are
going
going
so
swell,
well
I
for
guess.
us.
Yeah, it's either we're boring as shit or like things are not good.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's Sunday, so it's my one day off of the week, which I really, truly appreciate. They were asking for help at work this morning because there's, for the listeners, I'm in Miami, and there's the half marathon is happening today. So a lot of roads were closed, and I live literally a few blocks away, so I could just walk there. But today I chose my mental health and my physical health, and I put my foot down. I mean, they weren't asking me specifically, they were asking in general, like if anybody was available. So I chose not to respond and protect my energy, because I also like to start Mondays fresh.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
want to feel good tomorrow. I don't want to feel tired. I want to give my best on Monday, and I always, every time I have the crazy idea of like, oh, I'll just help out this Sunday. On Monday, I'm so mad at myself.
Just be honest. Just tell them that you wanted to sit with me and Tracy.
Exactly. You were
That's
busy. You
true.
had
That's
plans.
Yeah, right. You had a
It's true.
podcast
Well, I'm
episode
sorry to
record.
tell you guys, because I could have gone and come back, and I was still on time, but I don't love you guys that much. I'm sorry.
Nah, that's okay.
How are you doing, Tracy?
I'm fine. Like I said, well, I'm boring as shit.
What are you reading? I know you can tell us a good reading recommendation.
Ooh,
What are you
Tracy
right.
just
reading
gave
right
me a
now?
good list. A
So,
good list.
so no one, obviously, I haven't mentioned this, but I work at a library. So
Okay.
all I do is read. So
Love
actually, this podcast is great for me to like pull me out and like actually join the real
that.
world
Socialize.
and what, because TV, I'm like Kevin McAllister. TV's my life. But I feel like since working at a library, all I do is like I'm reading like 3 or 4 books at a time.
Holy shit. Like at the
Jesus.
same
But
time?
this
At the
is
same time.
also
Oh
But this
my
is also
God.
why Tracy has the best insights. Every time she has you have a really good point of view, Tracy, and you open up like a side of our brain that we didn't know was asleep every time you say your point of view. But I think it's because of that, because you're constantly reading is like
Fundamental.
fundamental, but also it's like feeding your brain
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
You're giving it nutritious food.
That's why she's such a smartass.
I know. Okay,
I'd
she
rather
should not
be
in
a
this
smartass
podcast, right?
than a dumbass.
Well,
True.
sorry,
True.
I'm a dumbass. I don't want to be that.
Me too.
That's
Me
not
too.
true.
No, that's great that you're reading 3 books at a time. I guess it's like us watching 3 different series at a time, which we,
Yeah, that's me,
you know.
which is sad.
No.
Okay. Well, Tracy, why don't you have the honors and tell us a little bit about what today's episode is about? What are we discussing today?
Well, absolutely, I can do that. So today we're going to be talking about award-winning, award-nominated movie, The Holdovers, starring Paul Giamatti. So we're very excited. I'm very excited.
Yeah, speaking of awards, it's already won a few awards, right? Nikki, since you pulled up the information, why don't you tell us what you found?
Okay, so Paul Giamatti, he already won Best Leading Actor, both Critics' Choice and Golden Globes.
Nice.
And I don't know how to pronounce
It's
her name, but I think
Divine
it's
Johnson.
Divine. No.
It's
Okay.
I saw on a TikTok someone approached her as Davine. So that's what I'm going with. I'm sorry, Davine, if we got
We're
that
so
wrong.
sorry.
You know, we should have done more research,
But
honestly.
the
We
show
don't do
must go
shit.
on.
The show must go on.
Go on.
So we're gonna go We're gonna go with Davon Johnson, and you know, after this podcast, I'll go ahead and do the research, which I should have done beforehand.
We're just thriving on bare minimum right now. So she also won Best Supporting Actress, Critics and Golden Globes. And by the way, they have many nominations for the Oscars. Best Picture, Leading Actor, Supporting Actress, Screenplay, and Film Editing. This is something that I wanted to ask you guys because I didn't look it up. And I was like, maybe they know.
If you didn't look it up, I didn't do shit.
No, I was gonna ask you. This is fictional, right? This is not based on a true story, or is it?
I think it is fictional.
It is fictional.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I want to get right into it. Oh, wait. Well, let's do the synopsis. I'll read the synopsis.
Yes, go for it.
So the synopsis of The Holdovers is about a cranky history teacher at a remote prep school who is forced to remain on campus over the holidays with a troubled student who has no place to go and a grieving cook. Okay, so let's jump right in. Tracy, go.
Well,
You go first.
yeah, first of all, I just have to say, like, as soon as the movie started, and I could tell already where we were just because of like the 1970s.
Brownish.
Like, yeah,
Everything felt brown.
yeah, it was like sort of muted colors and just the way that it was shot and the aesthetics of it. I was like, okay, so like we're in the 1970s. It's not now, which
Yeah.
I love. Like, I love,
I love that.
as Joe would say, a period piece. So I was like, great. Okay, let's go. So first of all, the opening credits were great. And then you have the choir singing, was like Little Town of Bethlehem or some sort of Christmas song. So it's like we know when we are, where we are, what time of year it is. So I just love that. You're setting me up right away.
Yes, I think even the credits, because when at the beginning when it shows, I think it's Universal Studios, when it show it's not it's the old one.
Yes.
The old logo. I was like, oh, we're going back here, because it didn't feel HD. It didn't feel, brand new, really technological. No, it was what it was back in the day. And I think that says a lot about the attention to details.
Absolutely.
It gives you a sense of the culture, an all boy school choir singing, some religion is involved. I just loved it. I was like, yes, bring me back to a period.
I love a period piece.
I love a period piece.
And then it closes in on, we see Paul Giamatti sitting at his, I thought it was like an apartment, but I suppose it's like a dorm for the teachers, because he lives on campus at the school. But just seeing like his apartment and how it was set up, and it's sort of a mess. And oh my God, that bathroom. Barf. I'm sorry. It was like crap in the sink. The toilet is dirty. So already he's like a bachelor. Just like doesn't necessarily take care of himself. He's just sort of floating along in life, but he's very dedicated to his work.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to say something about that?
No, I was just like, it felt like a boy's dorm bathroom,
Gross.
Yeah,
itchy
the moment
cream.
they show that, that's my pet peeve. It's so disgusting. The
So
bathroom
disgusting.
was, it's like it hasn't been cleaned in forever, which shows the hygiene of the person too.
Ooh, yes, which we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Cluttered sink, I hate that. It just gives me anxiety.
Just dirty.
All right. And then, they introduce us to the kitchen staff, and we can see that Davine's character, what's her character's name? Mary. She immediately has command of the kitchen. She's bossing everyone out. She's like, 10 minutes, ladies. That's her first line.
I love it. She's in charge.
Yeah, she's in charge. And then we see the boys, the dorm room, and the culture, and how,
the ragging on each other,
like
and they're
ragging
calling
on
each other names, like you stole my weed.
Yeah, your mom gave me that, your mom's underwear.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we're getting a sense of the culture. I'm loving it. You bring me into this world. I love that. Good. It was a great introduction. It's like three different perspectives. Paul Giamatti's character, which is Paul, and Mary, and then the boys.
Angus.
Yeah, great direction. Love that. Angus. And then, it's around the holiday season, right? I'm assuming Christmas. There's snow outside. Yes, it is Christmas. The boys are going off they're going back home for the holidays, for the holiday vacation. And then some boys have to stay over or be held over.
Right.
Hence for a variety of
the
reasons.
Title, Holdovers.
Right,
which I think I didn't know that there was like a name for that. And those poor kids. Can you imagine?
Such a sad name, the Holdovers.
But it's also, just diving right into it.
Let's go.
I want to say, there's a lot of privilege with these kids, but there's also, their type of problems. In the sense of, these are kids that, except I think he was Japanese.
Korean.
The Korean kid, I think, except him, and because I wouldn't want my kid to travel that far by himself. But then why isn't one of them coming to him?
Yeah.
One of the parents. And then it just shows like it's so dry, people that have a lot of money, or what, I can't speak from experience because that's not me, but people that have a lot of money, there's like a dryness in their families. There's not a loving, caring situation going on ever. The other kid, like their parents were doing working in Latin American country. They were
Mormon. Yeah.
and it's like, why do you choose to do that during the holidays when you know your kid is far away from you? And he's little. Like, those are babies. They're really young.
Yeah.
And you're okay. Mentally, you think, I mean, it was the 70s or like late 60s, so people didn't give a fuck about their kids. You know, I mean, they did, not the way that they do now, but you know, just being okay with having their kid in a faraway school with nobody that is family. Just be there.
Yeah.
You know, and during the holidays when you're supposed to be with your family, and then that's the other kid, the blonde one, not the one with the long hair, the other one, the troublemaker. What was his name? I wrote it. Is Mr. I don't want to say a bad word. That's why it's Kount.
Kuntz.
Kuntz.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You don't want to say a bad word, but we say fuck, shit, ho, sweat. I mean,
those are okay.
Oh, I'll say it.
Those are not that bad. Yeah, Mr.
Yes.
Kuntz.
yeah.
He, like, oh yeah, you can just stay there. And then our leading character, what was his
Angus.
name?
Angus Sully? Sully?
The mom is, oh yeah, my new life. I'm like, shut the fuck up. He's a child, and you're just leaving him because you need to. Why don't you live your life another time?
Well,
I'm sorry.
Well, and I think that's why these kids have such behavioral issues, is because they come from these families, and it's like, yeah, they have money, but it's like their parents are working all the time, so they don't have time to spend with their kids. That's why they drop them off at a boarding school, so they're there that whole time, and they don't have to deal with them. You know, so it's like these
generational trauma.
Yeah, so these poor boys are growing up feeling like they're not loved by their parents, like they don't care, and then they're surrounded by maybe, you know, teacher, like Paul is very hard on his students, you know, so like we see that in the beginning when, you know, Angus is like, well, first of all, the tests that they get back, and pretty much all of them have failed. Yeah. So his grading is like, he's super hard on them. He really doesn't give them a chance to succeed, I feel like, which that's harsh, but I feel like there's a reason for it. I'll talk about it later. And then they're like, why we're supposed to be going to church and then on break in like 40 minutes. We're the only class in session right now. Nobody else is here. And Paul is like, well, we're supposed to start a new chapter. Why would you start a new chapter before you're about to go on break? So it's like you can already kind of see what kind of teacher he is.
Yeah.
He's being a
it's
dick.
Also he's being an asshole. And if you have a room full of kids that are failing, like most of them, I think only Angus
he got a B plus.
A B plus,
which that was
and
great.
The rest were like C minus, D, fail, everything. You have to either check on your style of teaching, or you have to review what happened there. You have to, let's open up this test. Let's go over everything you got wrong and let's fix this. But he's tough on them, but it's also, he doesn't care.
Yeah, he's
You
bitter.
know, he hasn't found any empathy for them. But we know why he's like that, because he already had an experience in college with an entitled asshole.
Right. But also, to add to that, we find out that there was a student whose dad, you know, brought in funding for the school, who wasn't performing well, you know, and he was almost forced to pass the student with, top grades just because
Yeah.
the school was getting money from daddy. You know
Right.
what I mean? So it's like he's building up all this resentment toward these privileged boys, like you mentioned, Well,
Daddy.
and daddy. I love saying that. And so it's like a lot of resentment coming from his own personal experiences from when he was in school, and that moment that we'll talk about in a minute. But also like, it's still happening. He's like, I'm tired of these privileged boys, white privileged boys, because race is also a subject in this film, that get away with murder, with everything. And, so he's like, I refuse to be, soft on these kids. But he takes it like to the extreme where it's true, instead of
There's
starting
no middle
a
ground.
new chapter, even when Angus says, is this the right time to start a new chapter? Like nearly the whole class failed the last chapter. We should be reviewing that,
And he
yeah.
was going to give him that makeup exam, but then Angus fucked it up.
Right, Angus.
He
fucked up.
pushed it. He pushed
those
it.
buttons,
Yeah, he should have just shut his mouth and was like, we'll take the makeup exam, because that was as generous as Paul was going to be. So for him
100%.
to even do that, I think was huge. And then he pushed it too much because I think that's just how these kids, they are, like, what else can I ask for? What else can I get away with? Yeah. They just push it a little bit too much.
I did want to add one thing to the privilege thing. It's really obvious how privileged they are because that one kid who got held over, he said, they asked him, well, why are you here? He was like, well, my dad is refusing for me to come back home because I won't cut my hair. Mm-hmm. And then eventually the dad gives in, flies in on a helicopter and picks them all up to go skiing for the Christmas vacation. Except Angus, because poor Angus, her mom couldn't fucking catch a break, that poor boy. But I'm like, wow, these fucking privileged kids, like, oh, boo-hoo. That is not bringing you on a ski trip because you won't cut your hair.
Yeah.
At the end, he has no long hair.
Mm-hmm.
But, all right, so where are we now in the story? So the kids are held over, I guess, as, Daddy comes in a helicopter, picks all the boys up.
Well, I feel like even before that, when Paul is making them run outside in the snow.
Oh, yeah, he's fucking...
Like he's
what do you think
making them study.
What goal did he have there? Discipline? Structure?
I think he just wanted them to suffer. Yeah. He's just a bitter person.
Yeah, it was like, I can't have a holiday.
So
like
neither will
we're
you.
Like we're stuck together. So like,
which
you're
even
gonna...
it sucks because even like his boss says, well, you weren't going you don't go anywhere.
Right.
So it's like that makes him even a more bitter person because,
guys,
to the statement of saying, well, if I can't have a holiday, you can't either. But it's like also, Paul, you never have a holiday. You know what I mean? So I think that makes it even worse.
You just reminded me of his wandering eye.
Oh, the lazy eye?
Wall-eyed Paul, which I have a question for you both about these fucking eyes.
I looked it up because I just... This sounds awful, but I wasn't sure if it was real or not.
Same.
So I was like, wait, did he always... Did this always happen?
Yeah.
I
had
said
that
it to
same
myself
question.
too. I was like,
this is really well done, but it's not. It's his eye. It's not like that. That's fake. And I'm sure Tracey has something to say in the fun facts.
I do.
Yes.
Okay.
But
so
I had to look it up because I was like, wait a minute. Is this how his eye is?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to get into the eyes. So I just want to say this, Tracey, but don't confirm this. Wait until the fun facts. My one question is, did they keep switching it?
Okay.
So that's all I have
thought
to.
The same.
That's all I have to ask because I was like, wait a minute, it was in this eye. No, it's in that eye. Wait, what the fuck? So anyway, I don't want to jump ahead. I love the fun facts part. So that's all I'm gonna say. Let's move on to the next topic. So yes, so he's torturing the boys, making them run around, making them study, making them clean the library. But then one thing I have to say, it's like, okay, why is he being such a hard ass? Then we see Mary and him have their moment together where they
Yeah.
share a glass of, I think, whiskey, and he's so kind to her,
A mug.
and caring to her. And then when she comes in to bring him the food, one of the boys makes a comment, well, she doesn't have to be miserable. She's getting paid for this. And he's like, you have no idea what she's been through, And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe he's
Yes.
not. There
I
is a soft
think.
side, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
So
100%.
you
I
see
think
that
he's.
different side to him, which is like, oh, okay, hold on, what's going on here?
I think he's only like that to. He's only bitter and resentful. That's the word. He's resentful towards people that had it quote unquote easy. But I
Yeah.
also feel like he doesn't know their issues either.
Right.
Because Angus's issues are tough
Yeah.
for a kid. The story with his dad, and then his mom basically being like, oh no, I need to have my moment. I'm sorry, when you choose to have kids, you have to commit to that. It's not one day you're a parent and the next day you're not. I understand, like, you have to work and provide and all this stuff, but she didn't. It wasn't about work. It was about honeymooning when you're supposed to be with your child.
Yeah, like Angus asked her, you had all this time.
Yeah, you
You
had
couldn't
like 6
pick
months.
any of
Yeah.
the other, I think he said 8 months to go on a honeymoon. It had to be this one time that I get to come home and spend
And I
time with you.
think Mary brings that up. Like, this kid is going through holidays feeling like nobody wants him.
Yeah.
And
So the moment, yeah.
I don't think the parents understand the damage that they're causing by making this decision that giving them the benefit of the doubt in their head. Oh, that's nothing. He'll have fun in school or something like that, and it's definitely not that.
It was like a punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just brought up a good point, Nikki, that sort of made me realize now in this moment as I was hearing you speak, is that he doesn't know what the issues these boys are going through. So the moment he sees that moment of struggle in someone, he immediately breaks down that guard. Where Mary, she's grieving. She's a grieving mom. I think we forgot to mention, she's a grieving mother who her son was a Barton student. And, I guess one of the slogans is, Barton boys never go to war, right? And I think it's the Vietnam War that happened recently. And because her son was black, he was
Yeah.
he was drafted into the war.
Yeah. And
Right.
it was a way for him to pay
It was a way for him to pay for school.
for college.
Oh,
what
for
he
college,
decides.
right, sorry.
Well,
For
because
college.
the whole thing is that Mary is an employee. She's a cook at the school. So that's the reason that her
Right.
son was able to attend Barton. So it's like he was sort of like a, well, quote unquote, scholarship student type of thing, let's say.
Yeah.
So it's like he wasn't there because of money. And which I
Right.
think also he worked even harder, but because they didn't have the money to send him to college, so he decided to join the military, and then he got drafted to Vietnam
Yeah.
And got killed in
and
the
was
war.
killed. Because you look at all these other kids, and when they get those bad grades and they go, well, my dad's gonna be so mad, I'm not gonna get into Yale, I'm not gonna get into Harvard, I'm not gonna get into Cornell. It's like all these Ivy League schools. So that's like
Yeah.
the other thing of privilege is like their fathers were good old boys at these Ivy Leagues. So it's like generation, like their sons are gonna go. Whereas like Mary's son, that was not his opportunity.
Yeah.
No, he had to
Yeah.
go the extra mile.
Exactly.
And Mary has to face that every day. She's
Right.
working around these privileged boys.
Right.
She even makes a comment, they always complain about the food, So she lives with it every fucking day, which is why, I don't think she ever smiles in the film. Maybe later on, but
Yeah.
she has her moments where she kind of like warms up a bit.
When she's with her sister, I think she does.
Right, but she has to face this every day. First of all, I want to just talk about Davine Johnson. I don't know about you, but I've discovered her in Only Murders in the Building,
Yes. I love her
which I
character
love her
on that.
character
Yeah.
on that. And I'm so happy to see her in a different light. And I don't know about you, but gorgeous fucking
But I'm
woman.
feeling
She's
22.
she's a gorgeous fucking woman, and I think she's just something about her is so captivating. Where every time she came on the screen, I was like, ooh, what is she gonna do now? You know, like I was just so
She's a
into
really
her
good
character, so into her, you know, and it was like she had like this, I guess you call it resting bitch face, you know, but she's grieving, you know, but it's
Right.
almost like I was waiting for her to crack. You know, I was like, ooh, you know, what is she gonna say? You know, I don't
on the
know.
edge,
On the
always.
edge, you know, like you put too much paprika, follow the recipe. What is wrong with you? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Now you
I
have to
don't
put
know. I
more
just
water
love.
in it.
Yeah, she was so like, I don't know. She really drew my attention. She captivated my, like, I don't know. She was just captivating to me. But anyway,
Well, and
yes.
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit to one part is when they're at that Christmas Eve party.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Are we going to talk
And
about
we
the
f-
kitchen
Her
scene?
journey there.
And then we finally see her sort of break down. And obviously, like, she had been drinking a bit. So, you
Right.
know, I think that makes a difference. But she's trying to play music that her son loved on the record player. And someone is like, can't you play something more upbeat? And she just lashes out and is like,
Snaps, yeah.
don't you fucking touch that. Which I don't blame her. And then next you like see her in the kitchen and she's crying.
Right.
And then all she says is, he's gone. I don't know about you, but I started crying.
Oh yeah.
I
I
think
was like,
that
I was like, oh my
it
God.
felt so real because with her fists up like this, like she just was angry,
Right.
you know? And I was like, oh,
Right.
wow.
And it's definitely
The moment
a
was
build up.
powerful.
You see her sadness get
Yeah.
like stronger basically as that scene goes and goes, and then she's in the kitchen, and then before she even speaks, it's quiet and everyone is just watching.
Yeah.
See what's gonna. They're trying, but you know it's. And then I think that's the line when she says he's gone, and it's just, oh my God, finally, you know, she is accepting this moment and she's letting herself go a little bit with the alcohol,
Yeah.
you know, letting herself feel, because I feel like she was holding herself for a while until that moment.
That's true. Maybe
I
like
don't know.
throwing
That's
herself in the work, you know, like focusing on making the meals and, you know, just maybe trying not to think about it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I know we're kind of jumping all over the place, but since
That's
we're
what we
on
do.
Mary's character, I know we're a fucking mess. Since we're on Mary's character, and we have to talk about this scene. The scene where Paul is running after Angus.
Oh my
Which
I
time?
love that scene.
In the school?
The one
He's like,
inside
this
the
is your
school.
Rubicon. You know, which I have to
When
admit, I had no idea what the fuck Rubicon is, because there's a lot of references to, is it Greek mythology?
It's like just like ancient Greek
Like
and
ancient
Roman.
Greek
Yeah.
mythology. So many references in this film about that. But that scene was so entertaining, and I can just tell that had a feeling that Angus, the character Dominic, is that his name in real life?
Yes.
I can tell a
Yes.
lot of this was like improvised. Like
Some
they were
of
like,
it,
we're just gonna.
yeah.
Isn't it the fun facts? Okay.
No, I
Maybe-
think I
oh.
left it out, but so because I had a feeling we would talk about it. So real quick, so
Yeah.
when Angus is basically running away from Paul, Paul's chasing him through the school, and it's just so funny because Paul is totally out of breath because he
Right.
smokes a pipe. He drinks whiskey. Like his diet is probably not that great. So he's like totally out of shape and making these boys run. And then he says something to them like, you're like, if you don't have basically like your body in shape, like neither will your mind be. Something
Yes.
along those lines. And I love that Angus throws that line back at Paul as he's like
Mm-hmm.
trying to get up the
Yeah,
stairs.
he's like running out of air,
Then
gasping.
then the part when Angus does the cartwheel,
I was like, that is
that
totally improvised.
that was Dominic's idea. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
was
it's
like,
just
that is so
sort of like
good.
right.
Then
So
I
was
laughed so hard in the gymnasium when he does the flip and he lands. Because I laughed and I was like, that did not sound like a cushion.
nope.
It
At first, I
sound-
thought he was teasing him because he's like, ah! And I'm like,
No. I was like
he-
that. He landed on wood. That's how it
Yeah.
sounded like.
Yeah.
so the reason why I wanted to talk about this scene is, and we'll come back to the running scene, but I wanted to bring up like the different levels of class and racism. So after that, Angus throws up. The gym is off limits, by the way.
Right. Because
Angus
they're doing the
breaks
floor.
the rule, jumps into the gym, vomits on the gym, and then the janitor, that moment when the janitor walks in with the mop, and he was like, I found vomit on the gymnasium floor. And they all denied it, and we're like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. And then Mary looks at them, and she was like, oh, so that's how it's going to be.
Right.
So the janitor left the mop there, and I was like, good for you. Clean your shit up.
Clean your mess.
You clean your mess up. So it was just like, I think that also added up to the build up to Mary's breaking point, that's the only just point I kind of wanted to get out. But yeah, that
Talking
chasing
about
was funny.
race and them then bringing racism up to the table in this movie. There's a moment. This is going back to the beginning. That what's the name of the super spoiled blanket? Not the helicopter one. The other one.
Kuntz?
Kuntz.
It's Kuntz.
Yes,
Kuntz.
right. Kuntz. So he says something to the Korean kid about, and I had to look it up because I was like, wait, what is that? He said like, are your parents coming to get you in a rickshaw or something?
Oh, yes.
Oh, and he
Yeah, I
says,
had
"What's
to
a
look that
rickshaw?"
up.
So I looked it up and I was
Yeah, that's
thinking,
really
this is the
racist.
most fucked up comment.
It wasn't even the same country. I think it was like a Japanese.
I think rickshaws. I think they use them a lot. I could be wrong, but I feel like India and maybe like Thailand, maybe Vietnam.
Yeah.
They had rickshaws, I believe. And this kid's from Korea. Like, I don't believe they used rickshaws.
Yeah,
so
they
it's
don't
like
use that in
it's
Korea. So it's just like,
fucking racist. Yeah.
yeah, it's so fucking
Super,
racist.
and I was like, this is so fucked up. And of course, it has to be the troublemaker,
Right.
the kid that his family doesn't want him there at all.
Yeah.
That they're just leaving him in school.
Which is why he's being a fucking prick. Which is why
Right.
you need to. I'm not a parent, but like bullying starts at the home.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, starts at the home. You need to fucking raise your kids right and provide a safe environment for them.
Exactly.
But-
That's the thing. It's like he was unhappy with himself and, his parents ignoring him. So he took it out on these other boys. I mean, that's what bullying is, really. It's like you're hurting, so you want others to hurt, and you bring them
Yeah.
down. He was an asshole, though.
Such an asshole.
It's such an asshole. Gosh, we are so.
The picture too.
Yeah, fuckwad.
Yes. Yes.
Like that's so mean. Like the one picture that he has of it was like his dad and his mom and him when he's little, and then he writes that on it. I mean,
Yeah.
fucking
Talk
terrible.
about being an unhappy person.
Yes, absolutely.
We're all
Gonna
over
say
the place.
something. Yeah.
That's what I
I'm
said.
so
I was like,
sorry.
sorry,
I
y'all.
wanted to bring up.
It's such a good movie though, and it's
Yeah, there's so many important parts.
yeah.
Well, I liked it. I don't think it's a really good movie.
Oh, I
Okay,
I
well, I
really
was going to
liked
talk
it.
about my critique toward the end. You know?
But let me bring up the actress from True Blood.
Oh, I love her.
Also,
Oh, yes.
she is so good. She also plays a waitress there for a little bit.
Yeah.
She does the quote unquote side hustle over the holidays. She is so good, and the whole time I thought they were flirting with each other.
Well, she
The
was
whole
flirting
time.
Yeah.
with Paul, that bitch. you know?
But then, yeah, she had a guy already,
Right.
Right.
and
Which
we see that in the Christmas party.
adds to more of the reason of why Paul's so defeated, like so fucking fed up with the bullshit. You know, he's like, here we go again. You know, I was led on to believe that she was flirting with me, which I think she was.
I think she
I was
was.
just, I think she just liked the attention. You know, there are people like that.
Right. And I think it's so funny that it's like Angus says at one point, like, you're afraid of women. And I don't think he wasn't afraid of women. I think it was just he was maybe afraid of the rejection
Yeah.
Yes,
because
100%.
he's got. Do you want to talk about like all these things that he's got?
Oh, I wrote
So-
it down. The TMAU, the thing about the bacteria smell.
Right.
Yeah,
So he's
it
got
stinks.
this
I looked it up.
odor to him, which Angus is just so like straightforward, but in a hurtful way where he's like, you know what? You smell bad. Like you smell like old fish. Like it's
And
so
I can smell it
mean.
over your coat.
Right. And then it's like,
Yeah.
it's called, I'm not even going to pronounce it.
Yeah, it's a
triple
long
whatever.
name.
Trimethylaminoria.
Thank
Good job,
you.
Nikki. I don't even know
Beautiful.
if you said that right, but
That's better than me. I
I
wasn't going
probably
to try.
Right.
didn't, but that's great.
I was just gonna call it "you stink."
Right. So it's
Well-
like these enzymes in his body that don't
Yeah.
break down. So he
The
emits this
the short
odor.
version is TMAU. TMAU.
Right. So it's basically like something that he can't help, you know?
Right.
And I'm sure it's embarrassing for him.
Oh, for
and then
sure.
he has sweaty hands.
Oh God.
Oh yeah,
So
when he
that-
puts his hand on Mary, and
Right.
was
She's
like,
like,
"Oh."
ugh. Yeah. And he's like, I have hydro whatever. So he's got
Have an issue.
sweaty hands. So it's like all this
Right.
shit that he has. He's got the lazy eye. So it's like things that he has that he can't control.
Right.
So it just brings down his confidence even more.
Even more.
So it's like, why would he put himself out there to get rejected? I feel so
Yeah.
sorry for him.
You know, it's like you kind of said,
really does
Angus.
break my heart. Yeah.
Yeah, Angus. You said, I think Tracey earlier on that Angus could never catch a break, and you realize Paul has had that same life. You know, where he was accused of plagiarism when he indeed wrote the original piece, but some other guy took the credit for it, that asshole, and eventually got kicked out of Harvard, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because he punched.
He-
No,
He hit him with his car.
hit them with
He
the
hit him
car.
with his car, which is so funny. It was like, well, he shouldn't have been in the way. But hit him with his car, got kicked out of Harvard, never got his degree. Talk about a timepiece because, you know, because Angus was like, well, how did you get a job here teaching at Barton? He was like, oh, you know, the I don't know, the head of the school felt bad for him and offered him a job.
Because he knew his potential.
This was like the 60s where you can just get any job without
Yeah,
a degree.
that's
Not
true.
anymore now. You know, and
But I do think he was qualified for the
oh, for
position.
sure.
Like he was
so qualified for it.
he's
He's a
a-
fucking nerd.
super intelligent man. And in fact, I think that he was too good for Barton. But the only reason that he worked there was because he was a Barton student and he didn't have his degree. Like, I think if he had graduated from Harvard, he would have been like a college professor, probably at like Harvard or an Ivy League himself.
Yeah. And to add to like his misery and his not catching a break lifestyle, the fucking headmaster used to be his fucking student.
That, what a punch in
Yo,
the
it's
gut.
just like, oh my God. Like, it's like your heart breaks for him every single time you learn more and more about Paul's character and his history. And it's just like, okay, now we know why he's such a miserable piece of shit. Why
Right.
he's so bitter, why he's so
Right.
resentful,
Right.
you
Yes.
know?
Well,
So
and
you just feel
especially-
pity for the guy.
Absolutely. And like to piggyback off of that, I think it's like he's so hard on them, to the students, and bitter because he knows that they're going to go on to probably do what he should be doing.
Yeah.
And or even the students that aren't as intelligent, and they're going to get
Yeah,
these
because-
opportunities, and it's like, I should be doing way more, and I'm stuck here teaching you
Yeah.
imbeciles.
And you're going to get
You
spoon-fed
cretins.
all this shit.
Yeah.
Right. You know, so that and I love that moment where Paul and Angus bump into the old schoolmate, Paul's old schoolmate
from Harvard.
From Harvard, and he's like, "Oh, uncle, you should tell him about the book," and they're both like lying for each other, and it was like such a bonding moment for them, and as a viewer, I was like, "Oh, I'm enjoying this. They're finally enjoying their company."
I think even before that at the hospital,
before that at the hospital for sure, when he,
I
lied
think
and
that's
said
sort
he
of
was
when
his
it
dad.
started, and then
That's when it started, and I like that because I was like, okay, we're coming, they're finding some common ground here and creating a bond.
I feel they're both being comfortable being vulnerable around each other,
Yes.
which is something that you see the build up to that moment, because from the beginning they're so defensive. There's like a wall in front of each one of them, even to talk to each other. It's whatever you say is an attack to me right now. And then you see that go away slowly throughout, and then in their most vulnerable moment, when is his shoulder dislocated, which I thought it was hilarious.
That was funny.
And he's in so much pain when he's trying to open the car. It's just a lot of when you're at the hair salon and they're giving you a haircut and they ask you if it's good and you don't like it, but you still say it's good. It's because they're so vulnerable. You know? They have, it's a moment. It's like it's stripping you down completely. So I think that's Angus at that moment has nothing to hold on to.
Right.
It's like I can't be an asshole anymore. I'm in pain right now. Physically.
Right. And I just love. Oh.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, he's also low-key an alcoholic.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to throw that in there. That moment after that old schoolmate that he bumped into when they went straight to the liquor store and started drinking. In that moment, I thought, oh, wait a minute. Here's another layer to this. He's always drinking alcohol. And then it brought me back to that one scene where I think Kuhn said, he was like, it's not even 11 a.m. and he's already fucking lit, Yes. But I forgot to add that I was like, wait a minute, this guy might be an alcoholic too. But sorry to cut you off, Tracey.
Sure. No, that's
you
fine.
To add.
Well, I was just going to say, I think there's such a parallel between Paul and Angus, that they have way more in common than they originally thought. And you just see like throughout it how much they have in common. And I kind of laughed so after Christmas and Angus says, I want to go to Boston. And Paul finally breaks down. He says, okay, fine. So they go up to Boston. And they're in their hotel room, and he finds Angus's bottle of pills, and then Paul takes out his bottle of pills, and they're taking the same pills for depression. Yep. Like I kind of laughed a little bit because it's like, of course, But also it's so sad that it's like Angus is like 16, 17 years old, and he's seeing a shrink, and he's on medication for depression. Like that's so young.
Yeah, but also his mom doesn't want to see him during the holidays.
That fucking
right. Well,
bitch.
and then the shit with his
and
dad.
The only sane parent you have doesn't want you. Are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then we learn what happens with his father. So he said, Angus had said,
we think all along his father has died.
Well, because he said, my dad is dead. So you're thinking, oh, okay. And then when Paul and Angus go to the movies, and I love that Angus always does this thing where he's like, I got to go to the bathroom. But most of the time he's not really going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And this time he doesn't. He is running away, and Paul, of course, is like the little fucker. So he runs after him, and Angus is jumped into a taxi, and luckily Paul runs up to him and is like, where are you going? And so he's like, it breaks down, and Angus is like, I'm going to see my dad. So he's like, oh, okay, of course you can go to the cemetery, because he's thinking, you told me that your father died. And the next thing, we're driving up to a mental institution. So it's like, in a sense, his father is dead, because it's not really his father.
Yeah.
But that broke my heart too.
Heartbreaking. He's like, I missed you,
It's so
Dad. I
sad.
really missed you. And he's like talking to his dad about like, some things about his life, and his father's
His accomplishments.
Oh, I'm gonna
Yeah,
join
and his-
the tennis team.
yeah. And his father listens to nothing that he said and says, I think they're putting something in my food. And in that moment,
broke my
Angus
heart.
is just like breaks down. It's just like, great.
Right, which I think in a sense that's why it's like to him his father is dead, because if his father, that he knew growing up probably would have said, oh, I'm so proud of you, like you're going to be doing all these things, you're doing great in school. But no, it's like you could tell that he probably has schizophrenia and like paranoia, because he's like, oh, they're putting something in my food.
Yeah.
Ugh,
So
terrible.
Heartbreaking.
really heartbreaking. But yeah, so Paul sees that and sees, okay, we're the same person. We have the same issues, and it was nice to see after the winter break when all the boys come back, where they kind of have like that head nod to one another and smirk, like
Right.
oh, then I guess we could kind of be buddies now. You know what I mean?
They found a common ground. Yeah.
A common ground. And then we get introduced to Angus's mom. And when she showed up to the school, I fucking had a feeling that it was because she caught wind or word that he went to go visit his father. And I was fucking right. I was like, this bitch is
was
going to
so
ruin
mad
that
right
moment.
away.
She's had to come in and ruin it. Everything was perfect. Everything was fine. And she had to come in with her recent new husband. And so selfish. Like, what you just did? It was so hard for me to find the place to accept him. Now I have to take him in
Screaming at the screen
and
at that time.
move him somewhere else. And I was so proud of Paul when he just stood up to her and says, I don't give a shit.
What
I
did
was
you
like,
say?
Fuck yeah.
That's right. You
I
heard
was
me.
like, fuck yeah,
But
go
I also
off.
wanted him to like go even deeper than
Me
that.
too.
I wanted him to be, I don't give a fuck. You guys did not want your child. Your child wanted to see his dad.
Yeah.
Nobody's guiding him through I was doing your job. I wish he would have said that.
Yeah.
I wish he would have been like, I was the parent that he needed right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wish because he knew going in there that once he had said that he was going to get fired. So it's like,
100%.
no holds barred. Like, just go for it and tell them what shitty parents they were being to their son.
Yeah. Like,
Just really go for it.
go hard or go
Let
home.
it
Like,
all out.
you're already going to get fired. Let that bitch have it.
Yeah.
Burn
But-
the bitch.
Also,
I like that he said like a little bit like you guys were unreachable.
Yeah.
But it's so upsetting that he's like, oh, he took all the blame. But it's also, it just humanizes him more
Yeah.
it does.
by taking the blame of the incident completely. He took everything.
But
Again.
100% is on me.
And I think, though, that this was for the best. And I'll tell you my thought process. So I think it works in both Paul's favor and Angus's. So Paul, because I think that he realized that he could do more with his life and he didn't need to be a Barton anymore. So he needed to go and travel and maybe write a book. Not that monograph that, he was going to go and
Yeah.
write that book and take control of his life. So I really think that in a way, Angus set him free. Then also, it worked for Angus because he kept saying throughout the movie that he was worried that he was going to get kicked out of Barton because he had been kicked out of other schools, and that would be the last straw, and his mom would send him to Fork Union, which was a military school.
She
And
said that she was going to.
right. So if she had done that, then you could probably guarantee that Angus would have been drafted into Vietnam. So there's a chance that he would have been killed in war. So it's like, in a sense, Paul saved Angus's life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like he did the
that's a
ultimate
good point.
sacrifice.
Yeah. They helped each other. In that moment, Paul helped himself and Angus.
Yeah.
Out because I felt bad. I was like, oh, I really don't want Angus to go to military school. I just want him to have another shot at this.
Because he is a really intelligent kid and he has a lot of potential.
We've learned so much about Angus. We've seen how much he's been defeated, and I was like, no, don't kick him out. Please don't kick him out. And in that moment, you can also see how the bond that the three of them have. Angus Paul and Mary, where she
Yes.
comes and she's like, yeah, what's her name, told me that your mom's here. Like she just came to check up on them and see what happened. And I love that moment when they held hands. Like she was like, I'm here for you,
So sweet.
That was so sweet. But
Because I think Angus thought the whole time that it's like, this is it. I'm done. They're
Right.
kicking me out. He's not going to do anything for me. I already put him through hell and back. So he's going to be, yeah, you're right. Take him to wherever you have to take him. But that's basically the turning point. Excuse me. Where he doesn't, he actually takes the fall. And,
there's a parallel moment there because he gets kicked out of Harvard for getting accused of plagiarizing when he didn't, but he decided to take the blame or whatever, and then his life ends up screwed. He screws up his own life, where he gets kicked out. And in this moment, same thing happens again where he takes the blame, but this is a second shot for him to kind of redo it and be like, you know what? I'll take the blame, but this is my second chance to
he's choosing to
Yeah.
to start
take
fresh.
responsibility for it completely.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I wanted to bring up, since we're like near the finish line of that movie.
Yeah.
He says, there's a phrase that they say throughout the movie, I think closer to the end, it's world is decay, life is perception. And I think this is something he realizes later on, because in his world, all his problems were the only problems.
Yeah.
And then but that's his perception. And then you see Angus, and his problems are also problems. They're valid too.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think this is also something that we all struggle with. Somebody tells me, oh, I have this, and then I bring up mine. I'm like, oh, mine is worse. It doesn't, I think the meaning of it is, it doesn't take away the amount of issues that you have, or how worthy they are, or how valid they are. It doesn't take away because they're different than mine. And at the end of the day, because the saying starts with world is decay, it just says the whole world is fucked up. Completely. But then life is perception, is how you take it.
Yeah.
How you see your issues, how everyone sees their own issues, And yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I really liked that he said that, and it was from an author, something that he had read.
Yeah. Beautiful.
It's beautiful. All right.
Look at us.
Well,
That was very intelligent. I love it. We're so smart.
should we talk about like our thoughts on the film? I want to,
Yeah, let's do it.
I will start off since I brought it up. I think it was a nice movie. I don't think I'll watch it again. I did enjoy watching it. I'll be honest, and maybe I might get crucified for this. I don't see what the hype was about for the movie. It did bring up a lot of important thematic elements. Important, I do really believe that. The characters are there. The characters are strong. The acting is amazing. I thought the performances were superb. But I feel like the hype for the movie was a bit over. I think it was a bit, I was expecting more. But those are my personal thoughts. What do you guys have to say?
Okay, I'll go, Trace. It was really slow for me. In the sense of, to be 100% honest, it was really hard for me to, sit down and watch the movie. Like, even before that, I was dreading it. I was like, I've also like watched a trailer for it, and it wasn't that I looked for it. It popped on my Instagram, and it didn't catch my eye. I was like, it looks fine, whatever. Like, I didn't get excited.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, but I felt many times it was easy for me to get distracted. in the set.
Yeah.
I really like when a movie has me, so invested that I forget about the world
Yeah.
completely, and I'm in it with everyone. And I don't want to take away anything from everyone that did their job there. The actors were amazing. But I think it's overhyped, and for me it was really slow, but I don't think there was any other way to do it.
Yes, I agree.
I don't think it should have, I don't think it has to be rushed either. I think for my attention span, which just gets shorter and shorter, every year because of how exposed we are to everything. I think I really just like diving into something and forgetting,
Yeah.
But I felt I would stop it. I would do something, then I would get back into it. I don't know. That's my opinion. It's good. I'm not going to watch it again, but I don't know. I don't want to say, as a failing actress, as an unsuccessful actor, I don't think it was Oscar worthy. I think the acting, I think the actors, yes, 100%. But the movie, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
But this is coming from a really successful actor, so take my opinion really
What do you
seriously.
mean? We're all
guys.
Oscar nominees. What are you talking about?
What about you, Tracey?
Okay, well, actually, I take a different view on this. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I liked the pace of the movie. I thought it had really good character development. I love when characters start out a certain way in a movie and you see their progression, and then at the end there's either an understanding or you see that they've changed in some way. And I feel that this movie totally works. And I feel like it's a realistic, progression.
Right.
I don't know. I thought it was funny and heartwarming, and I like the setting of it. I'm down for an academic setting, in a school and all that stuff. So, and I like the time period that it was. I like, the 70s. So I enjoyed it. It worked for me. I was invested in the characters.
Okay.
I liked that they were subtle with their acting. I didn't feel like it was overacted or pushed in any way. Yeah, so I agree. The acting is excellent. I do agree with you, Nikki, that I don't necessarily think that it is Oscar worthy. I think it is a solid movie, but I don't know if it should be nominated for Best Picture and stuff. So that I will agree with you. I don't think it deserves that to that extent. But I did enjoy it.
At least I haven't watched all of the ones that were nominated.
Right.
So maybe comparing to the rest of them, I'm like, oh yeah, it should be on that level. But I as a person that has seen what wins and what has been nominated before, I don't think it was worthy of it.
I think that's fair.
It's definitely not a bad movie. I'll give it a thumbs up.
I think it's worth watching.
I think it's a good watch. It's also, it depends. If you're a person that is anxious, this is a good movie for you to watch because it's not gonna have you on the edge. It's a good watch. It's entertaining. That's it.
Beautiful.
What about you, Joe?
I give it.
You give it a
I'm
thumbs up?
between. I'll be honest. I don't know. I'll give it between a maybe or a thumbs up.
Okay.
I think, as I said, it's a solid movie, but because of the fact that I won't watch it again, I feel like I'm thinking it's not a movie for everyone. And for me to give a thumbs up, I feel like if someone were to come to me and say, hey, is this movie worth watching? It would depend on the person. You know, I'll tell them
Yes.
knowing like we all have different like different types of movies, different genres that we have a preference to.
Different personalities.
You know, like for example, if my boyfriend came to ask me, is this movie worth watching? I'm going to say no, don't watch it. Because I know that he won't like it. But if there was a different type of person like Tracey, would I like this movie? I know that she would, because I know Tracey really well. You know, and I know that she would enjoy this type of movie. So that's why I'm conflicted. I don't know if I should give it a thumbs up or maybe. I definitely won't give it a thumbs down, you know? Because it is a solid movie. It is overrated. I don't think it's Oscar worthy. The performances were great, but that's I can't decide. Yeah, maybe. I guess I'll go with the maybe because it can either be a yes or no. So yeah, Tracey.
And Tracey, obviously, you give it a thumbs up.
I give it a thumbs up, and I'm not saying I would watch it again either, but I think you can still think something is good, you know, and not feel like it's a rewatch, but you can give it its accolades, you know?
Yeah.
Well, what did the public say? So what does Rotten Tomatoes say?
So Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 96%.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they got an 8 out of 10 on IMDb.
Which is good.
And it's nominated for the
Right.
It is. I mean,
Right.
So speaking of the Oscars, we got Best Picture, Leading Actor, Supporting Actress, Screenplay, and Film Editing. I think Dominic should have gotten a nomination as well if the other two were going to get nominated. The three of them should have got a nomination. And I don't know if this is part of your fun facts, Tracey, but this is Dominic's first fucking movie.
I didn't put that, but
Really?
it is.
It's his first movie, and I was floored because I thought his acting was great.
That was really
So good. I was like really blown away by him. But I was like, if you're going to nominate Paul and Devine, you know, which kudos to them, I think you should have nominated Dominic, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But I just wanted to throw that in there. Okay.
Well, Barry's not nominated, so I don't know. Barry?
Who?
Saltburn.
Oh. Do they have a limit?
Well,
How many people?
That's just they do have a limit, but also question is when is the cutoff point? Because Saltburn didn't get any nominations, but I'm hoping they'll bring it in for the next year. You know,
And
like,
I don't know
I don't
if you
think so.
saw, but for best movie, no, I just saying the cutoff of how many can get nominated.
Because it seems to get more and more and more. Because it used to be like 5, and now it's like 10.
For best movie, there's so many. I was like, what? Why is there so many?
Which I
now.
guess
So
says something about the movie industry that, one, they're making probably more movies than ever because with all the streaming services and whatnot. So it's like they're making more movies. And, I mean, the quality is pretty, like, there's good movies out there.
it's getting competitive.
Yeah, it is.
That's good. Is it time for fun facts? I love fun facts.
Ooh, yes. Let's go. Let's do it.
All right, Tracey, take it home.
Okay. Well, I also just want to mention real quick that the film made $211,000 from 6 theaters in its opening weekend. So I think
Okay.
that's probably
I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, hey, if I have $200,000 in the bank,
theaters, I feel like that's okay.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
That's
That
true.
wasn't a nationwide
theaters.
release.
Okay.
oh right, because it's on Peacock.
Right. All right. Here we go. I love this one. No sets or sound stages were used. Even though the movie features a heavy film look reminiscent of the 1970s, it was entirely shot digitally on the ARRI Alexa Mini. All the hallmarks of celluloid film, like the film grain, halation, dirt, and great weave, were added in post-production.
What?
I know. Isn't that
Wow.
that's so I feel
That's
like
crazy.
yeah, so I feel like they should
'Cause
win
there's
for
not
that.
One moment that there's not one moment that I'm thinking that's fake.
Right. Yeah, beautiful. All right. Director Alexander Payne conceived the film's concept after watching a 1930s French film, Merlus.
Okay.
Okay.
David Hemmingson wrote the screenplay originally as a writing sample for a television pilot. He based it on his experience as a boarding school student at Watkinson School in Hartford, as well as his relationship with his uncle.
Okay.
That makes sense.
For the fictional Barton Academy, the crew filmed on location at 5 real Massachusetts schools: Groton, Northfield, Mount Herman, Deerfield Academy, St. Mark's School, and a public high school in Fairhaven.
These schools are so aged, too, because it just no
Right.
set.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are from because I think,
I mean, guys, do you remember when we went to
High
Yale?
yeah,
Yale's an
That-
old school, though.
That's true.
Like everything looks like it has never been touched.
right.
Yeah.
They preserve that historic architecture. Because they used real locations and due to COVID regulations with schools being in session, they did film during the holiday break.
Oh,
So they shot it within 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
holy shit, that's
crazy.
fast.
There was a snowstorm during filming, so all the snow you see is real,
That's great. That's perfect.
which they love that because they wanted that feel of this is happening after a snowstorm anyway. So the fact that happened, perfect. In the scene where Angus calls home, he actually flubbed the take because he didn't know how to dial the rotary phone. He had never used one before. Which, when you think about it, he's 18 years old.
Right,
Sorry,
he
Gen
doesn't
Z.
know.
Most of you don't even know what a rotary phone is. So, of course, he's not going to know how to dial it.
Right now.
Right. I would know how to dial it, but that's embarrassing.
Yeah, so someone had to show
my
him
God.
because they didn't even
probably
think
gave him
about
the
it.
prop, and he was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Right. But I love that he didn't say, I don't know how to use this. He was just like, okay, sure.
Oh, poor Dominic.
All right. Miss Devine, who is a non-smoker in real life, thought that smoking a fake cigarette looked unrealistic. So she opted to smoke real cigarettes while being sensitive to not becoming addicted to nicotine. She chose American Spirits as she disliked that brand the most and knew she could easily quit after filming Wrapped. That, to me, is fucking dedication.
Yes, that is dedication. And a smart woman, she's like, I know I ain't gonna get addicted to this. So.
Yeah, smart, but the dedication, because I don't think I could do that.
Oof, that's a lot of smoking.
Every time you see her,
Take,
she's smoking a
right.
cigarette and then
And they
smoking
do
another
so many
one.
Takes.
Yeah.
And him with the pipe.
Him with the pipe. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So last one, and I think we can talk more about this because you had mentioned it earlier. Paul Unum's lazy eye was Paul Giamatti's idea and started out as a prank on Dominic Sessa, who plays Angus, but then was incorporated into the script. On top of that, Alexander Payne, the director, came up with the idea to continually swap out Paul's lazy eye on either
knew
side,
it.
as well as the car doors to show the character's development of trying to see yourself in someone else's situation.
I love that. But I fucking knew they would switch him. 'Cause I was
They
like,
definitely
wait a
did.
minute.
Yeah.
This one's
Yeah,
moving.
there were
Now
many
that
times
one's
that I was
moving.
like, that was not in that eye.
And I love that line at the end. He was like, this is the eye.
But then you
should-
see him driving away at the end in the car, and it's the other one.
Other eye.
So,
But I love that Paul Giamatti did it at first as a prank.
Right.
That is
But it-
so genius. That is so cool.
it also
That
fits
shows
his
you, like,
character.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But it also shows you not the dedication that they have to their own characters, but the culture on set with your castmates,
Yeah.
I'm just going to do this to fuck with them,
I love it.
I love that. That's what brings back the joys of rehearsal with, back when in our acting days.
Before we were failed actors.
Right. It's like, oh, this is so much fun.
Look at us judging other actors.
I know.
Like true professionals.
Yeah, but the show must go on. We're old actors, but we're still, we have to go on.
We're still going.
We're still going. Wow. Thanks for those fun facts. I always love the fun facts.
I know. I look forward to them.
I love them too.
So who wants to announce what we're going to discuss next episode?
I don't, because I forgot the name.
Oh,
So, well, we're going to be doing a documentary.
right.
So we're going to be doing American Nightmare.
American Nightmare.
So that
So-
is
I
on
heard
Netflix.
great things through TikTok.
Okay. I've watched
Which
it
is
twice.
my
I'll just say that.
And I think I remember this case because I believe it's from like 2015. But I'm sure there's going to be some things that we didn't know about that weren't in the media. So I always look forward to that. I'm excited. Spill that
Excited.
tea.
So go watch it before you listen to the next episode of
Yeah.
The Show,
Show
Must Go
Must Go
On. We have a
On.
name.
I can't believe we have a name.
I know.
Now comment, like, subscribe.
And be nice to
fun
us, of
things.
course. 'cause
Yeah,
we
give
are
us a
very
thumbs
sensitive
up.
people.
Also, we're successful actors. so-
Right. Well,
get
thank
it
you
together,
for
people.
joining us.
As always, we
this was
appreciate
fun.
it.
It was nice to see you. And we'll see you next time.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you.
See you next week.
Bye.
Adios, my friends.
Bye.